Resin Mold Box have sent me their June 2026 mould box. Now this mould I'm going to do today because a lot of people are talking about this on Facebook. People are saying, well, exactly how big is it and how hard is it to make? That looks really difficult. We're definitely going to make that one. Next one is an umbrella vase. Isn't that adorable? We've got a little crown frame, which looks rather cool. Little moon jar. Isn't that sweet? And we have got a dragonfly, a cute little vase that looks like a little bag. We've got a stacking dishes thing. Oh, I see. You can make a load of them and they'll stack. That's kind of cool, isn't it? And we've got they was put in an extra one, a little surprise, and this time their bonus one is a baseball. Now look, here's something for you all, if you want to know the sizes. I'll put the actual measurements down in the video description for you as well, because that's the question I've seen most asked. They don't state it on the actual adverts usually, although Resin Mold Box do, because they tell you how much resin it takes, which is really helpful. And the actual volume and everything, which is really good, isn't it? They give you some ideas too. Let's make it. I'm just going to show you the size of all the other things. Dragonfly, that's pretty big. Haven't measured it, but look, it's as big as my hands. This is the one we're talking about. This is the one we're going to be making. So it looks bigger than that in the pictures that the other suppliers have got on their websites. And that's the little umbrella one. Oh, that's stinky. That's very cute, isn't it? Little one. The baseball looks like it's, you know, I've never actually seen a baseball close up, but I think that's about life size. The heart one's big, the crown. That's bigger than I expected. You see by my hands, that's quite, yeah, that's big. It's bigger than my hands. This is the little moon, which is actually smaller than I thought it would be. It looks adorable. This is the 2-layer tray. Again, that's smaller than I thought it would be. That's quite dinky. I think that would be lovely for keeping like things on like your earrings and stuff on. Yeah, that's the little bag one. That's adorable. And they always put some extras in. Look at these. Oh, I'm sure as heck going to use those somewhere. Look at that. Right, let's get that mould on the go. The challenge is to try to make it so it looks like the one in the pictures. Now, I'm sure you could, if you really wanted to persevere, do all these little details. Some lovely details in here. I bet you could do those in with mica powders. So colour them before pouring, but I don't think that's how they've done it. The resin I'm using is from Artline, and it's called Honey, so it's quite a viscous one that will not let the colours move around too much. Now, normally I wouldn't use it on a pour of this depth, but that looks fairly thin, so I don't think it's going to be too chunky, and I'm just going to cross my fingers with this bit. But again, it's not huge, so I'm hoping I can get away with it. Honey is, the other reason I'm using it is because it is rather handy for not letting the colours move around too much, and it is a 2-to-1. So I'm going to mix 150 simply because that's easier for me in my absence of math skills. So that, I presume, is the hardener. It's part B. 50 millilitres of that, 100 millilitres of this, and when I'm adding this, you can see just how thick this stuff is. It's very viscous indeed. And that gold, I think it's going to be a job for painting or marker pens or something after. And this resin really is intended for shallower pours, so if this all goes horribly wrong, it's my fault for misusing it. But I really like it. It's a lovely resin, so if I can use it, I will. And it really does the colours from moving around too much. So if you want some definition between your colours, it's perfect for that. It's great for coasters and things, you know, when you're trying to get swirly effects. And for things like blooms and stuff like that. Not that I'm a bloom expert, but people tell me it is. While I'm stirring, I'm going to add a bit of a primary colour in, and that is going to be blue, because I want the blue to go all through. And that is just a resin dye out of my now rather old stash, actually, from Let's Resin. As you can see, that's not very blue. I'm going to want a bit more than that. Could have gone for a pigment paste. The colours would be a lot quicker and more vivid if you're using less, if you know what I mean, but because pigment paste is more heavily pigmented. But I wanted to go steady with this. There, as we can see, it is full of bubbles because I did stir too quick. What we're going to do now is mix some purple in, and this is, well, it's blue-violet, but it is properly purpley, if I remember rightly. So we're going to put some drops of this in, which should make that turquoisey blue very deep where it mixes in, but we're not going to mix it too much. We're just going to do that. Then we're going to do the same with the blue. We're going to put a load more of that. You have to be careful with the liquid ones, not to put so much that it stops it curing, of course, but we should be all right with that. And it is warm here in my conservatory today, so it's very blinking warm. We had a storm earlier, so hopefully this should cure quite nicely and quite quickly. Let's pour. And I'm hoping, see this sort of speckly, grainy look? It's a bit swirly. It's a little bit everything. I'm hoping we'll continue through. Now, I'm thinking that knobby bit is just prime for not having the resin release the bubbles, isn't it? So we're going to do this. I'm hoping we'll still end up with that sort of texture. See the bubbles coming out? I'm hoping we'll still have that texture in the resin when it all debubbles and clears. It does say you're better off using, it says a high viscosity resin to make sure that all the details are picked up. Now I would have thought a low viscosity one was better for that, but hey, this is kind of medium to high, this stuff, I suppose. See, hoping we're going to get that sort of kind of, oh, look at the bubbles coming out. I'm hoping we're going to get that sort of slightly not mixed in properly marbled look, although after having squidged it like this to make sure there's no bubbles trapped in there, we might lose it, I don't know. The other thing is I found that when I unpacked this, the centre bit, because the mould's quite slim, the centre bit had stuck itself to the outside in places, so I needed to just give it a little poke around to free that up. Now I did, like I said, get another mould out, so if we have some left over, we've got somewhere to go with it. But I don't think we're going to have much, are we? So there we go, that's filled right up to the brim. Let's put a little bit more in this as well. And let's just see what happens. I know what I'm going to do, because we haven't got enough to fill the umbrella mould that I thought I was might have enough for. I'm going to make a little heart. This is a different little heart mould to the ones I've been making for my painting work. This is one from, it's one of the more obtuse ones from Little Windows. So you can use it on the back or the front and do lots. You can do different stuff with it, basically. If I use its little friend up the other way, let's see, we can just make a little heart with the bit that's left over. And I've made a mess. One thing you do need to check on, and I've taken my gloves off, so I'm trying to be very careful here, is anywhere where you've got like a 90-degree to horizontal angle is somewhere where you're going to get bubbles. Now this mould's quite nice because you can see where those bubbles have got trapped. Can you see that around the edge? So I'm just getting a soft silicone tool. You could use a micro brush or anything that's soft so it doesn't scratch your mould, and just carefully get under the lip there. What you're doing is you're getting your tip right into the crease, the corner, but you're also lifting like that so that it lets the bubbles out. Now, I don't know whether those colours are going to stay slightly marbled in there or not. It's looking promising, I think. I just wanted a bit of detail rather than solid colour. Now, I've got bubbles coming up on the surfaces, so I'm just going to get a long neck lighter, trying to keep away from the silicone a bit because that can scorch, but you should be all right as long as you go steady with a long neck lighter. I don't tend to use alcohol to spritz the surface. I sometimes do, but not very often because it's not great for your moulds if you keep doing it. And I usually find that the lighter will fetch it off anyway. Now, we might find we have got a few micro bubbles in there still. It could be one that maybe it's worth using a debubbler with, but we shall see. Anyway, I'm going to have to wash my hands properly just in case, although I think they're fine, and I will see you later to demould them. Left them 24 hours, so they're proper rock hard. As you can see, I've already pulled out my little sample pieces, and I'm not too optimistic about my slight marbling idea because they don't look marbly to me. But the resin's lovely. It has created a lovely colour even if I don't get the marbly effect. Remember, that resin really is intended for coasters, things like that, and it definitely works for marble effects, doing things like that, and geodes, that sort of thing. Okay, I have got some micro bubbles. Problem with using the wrong resin for the job. Anyway, I think that's going to add to the pretty sparkleness. It is a bit of a devil to demould, but usual trick, twist when you get to the inside. It's nice, there's a lot of detail. Showing back my micro bubbles. And I have got a bit of marbling, can you see? That's kind of cool. mould back through the right way. I hope this is going to be answering all the questions people have had about this mould. It must be fairly new to market. I certainly hadn't seen it before. So I got mine from Resin Mold Box. And I've seen a whole load of questions about it on Facebook, particularly about the size. Resin Mold Box do tell you how big it is and what, you know, what the volume, as we saw earlier, but it seems that the others don't. Yeah, I've got a lot of micro bubbles. Probably should have put it through a debubbler, but never mind. It's not the resin's fault, I hasten to add. It's a very good resin. Oh, look at that. Now, there is a lot of detail there. I don't think I've got my marbly effect particularly well, but, you know, it's still very pretty. Now, I'm going to get my mould back through the right way, if I can. There we go. It's a bit of a fiddly-faddly one to get back through the right way, but there you go. Now, the detail. Good job I've got my glasses on. I'm going to guess that the way they did it, I'm going to guess that the way they've done it in the pictures that we've seen, assuming they're real pictures and not AI, is by using marker pens like these. So, first of all, let's have a go down these edges. Is that just a smooth? Yeah, it is. So we should be able to just run along the edges with a marker pen. You know what? I think if I made this again, I would actually use a deep pour resin. Yes, it would take longer to cure, but it would allow for much easier debubbling. This is proving to be fiddly. Is that a lip? Yeah, it is. So I can go along more like that. So quite wide, maybe. Same here. Yeah, I would say this is how they've done it. So bear with me. I'm going to carry on doing this all the way around. It's going to take ages because I also want to colour in these details. They do stand proud quite well. So we should be able to just, do that. But blimey. These are, they do stand proud. I'm going to swap pens. So if I was to do this again, yes, I think I would use a deep pour resin. Because with all these fine details, I think you want something properly low viscosity. So I think I went the wrong way with a high viscosity resin. I mean, it's beautiful resin. Just, as I keep saying, not designed for really this sort of thing. So that was a mistake. Thought it would work with keeping the colours separate and doing the marbly effect, but it hasn't really done that either because, again, wrong resin for the job. I would also wait till one side's dry before I started doing the next because I've got some smudges to get off there. The lid was easier to do than I thought it was going to be as well. I need to do around the edges, look, and I need to do the knob on the top. But it's also well raised. It was actually quite easy to do, and I might give a second coat with a marker pen. But yeah, it's a bit of a fiddle faddle, but not as difficult as it looks to do the gold. I think a chisel tip pen would have been better, but unfortunately I need to get a new chisel tip pen. Mine's died. Because you can just sit across the top of the pieces. These are, the little raised areas easier with a chisel tip than you can with this sort of bullet tip pen. But yeah, I have got some little bubbles trapped in these points. And the other thing, of course, you could run your resin through a debubbler. I need to dig mine back out. I've got a couple of absolutely awesome debubblers. I've got the Let Resin big one and the Estoyo Ickle Compact one. And both are absolutely superb. And I don't use them enough. To be fair, I'm not usually too bothered about bubbles, but just once in a while I get a project like this where I need to be bothered about bubbles. Most good quality resins will debubble on their own. Now this one, it does when it's used for the things it's supposed to be used for. It's leaving really now. Bit of a second coat on some bits. You see now the sun's coming out in my conservatory. That blue is lovely, isn't it? Oh. The sun's coming out in my conservatory. As you can see, that blue is lovely. But I'm just going to colour the top in here. Probably do a couple of top coats on it, I think. A couple of extra coats. If I hadn't gone so thick with the paint round here, this would be all. The top round here, look, this is all ridged, so that's got a design in it too. Again, just scribble round it with your marker pen. That's nice. It's letting the blue through in between. I like it a lot. If you fancy one of these moulds, yes, it's really nice actually. Bear in mind what I said, probably need either a debubbler because the shape of it is going to trap bubbles, I think. So you're probably going to want to use a debubbler or just go for very, very low viscosity resin, such as a deep pour one, and be a bit patient with waiting for it to cure because that will also help your bubble situation. Decent marker pens, gold marker pens, if you want to do this sort of finish. Now you can, as we know, get these from various sources. I got mine from Resin Mold Box, where you can buy individual molds, or you can do what I get, and that's actually a monthly subscription box. Now, they're very kind. They do send me that as part of supporting my channel, which is, yeah, thank you very much, Resin Mold Box. I really appreciate your support. But it's also in the most incredible way. If you're going to buy a lot of moulds and want to really build up your stash without spending a fortune, it's a really great way to stock up on moulds, and you get a lovely surprise project ideas come every month, which is just great, isn't it? And of course, if you're buying them that way, you get a lot more for your money. You can buy the subscription boxes separately as well. You can buy, you know, just 1 month's one, things like that. I think they'd make a great gift, actually, for a crafty friend. You know, like, come on, some of us are old enough to remember magazine subscriptions. Do they still do those? Anyway, yeah, it'd be a bit like that, wouldn't it? Buying somebody a magazine subscription, only it's a craft material subscription. I think that works out really well. I didn't realise till recently that subscription boxes worked so well for crafting, but I've spoken to so many people lately who absolutely swear by them. And now I'm getting these sent to me monthly. It certainly gives me a little challenge as well, because it's stuff that I open up the box and think, not seen that mould before. Well, that's one I wouldn't have thought of buying necessarily. This I probably wouldn't have thought of buying because it looked too fiddly. But because it's arrived, it's kind of, oh no, look, I've got a little challenge. I've got to come up with something with this mould. It's just me that thinks like that. I don't think so. Right, in all the little nooks and crannies, we're just going to go in with a finer pen, like so. Get into all these little fine areas. Well, you could just leave them, of course, if you wanted a bit more blue highlight in there coming through. It's making kind of like almost an antique effect. Getting this all over my fingers now, look. So there we go, there's the finished piece. Time for some glamour shots. I'll see you for the next video. Let me know if you've got any more questions about this particular mould though. Bear in mind the little tips I've given you as I've gone along, things I would do differently next time. Hope that was helpful. Of course, you could use it as a little trinket pot. Without the lid, you can use it as a vase, or you can fill it. You could fill it with little fairy lights, couldn't you? It is pretty. I really like the mould. Really like the mould. So, yeah. Information, discount codes, all sorts of useful links down in the video description below. If you wouldn't mind leaving me a like, that would be awesome. But also, please do let me know if you've got any more questions about this little mould, as I've got one. And I'll see you for the next video. Bye.